Okay, everybody take note. Beautiful ocean out there. What we're watching on this first play is a no call for DPI, and I absolutely love this no call. And I know this sounds crazy to some of you because many of you have not worked with me prior to flag football, but there's such thing as a correct call, and there's also such thing as a correct no call. This is a correct no call. I'm going to try to give you a good view of it here. And you see that receiver running down. Can anybody other than Sean tell me why this play is suspect?
You have to be face guarding, man.
It's this arm. It's this arm.
Playing the ball.
Well, she's playing the ball now. And the ball's way up here. So she's fine. It's this arm. That makes her suspect. So we have an official who's coming down here, looking right through there. If we had a back judge in this game, that would be a advantageous view to have. We will have that in the playoffs. But it's that arm right there that makes her suspect. What pulls her off of that? So open, open, open. Not playing the ball here. I heard somebody say not playing the ball, but this is not a foul. Hand up, face guarding is not a foul. Not a foul. This left arm extension is suspect because that's potential arm restriction, right? But as the ball approaches, there's separation. And because there's separation, after what is suspect, right here, there is no foul because there was no restriction, there was no slow in speed, there was nothing that would put us into a category of pass interference. It was only suspect. To me, this is a great no call and really worth, bringing up to everybody because not all contact is a foul. Only forceful contact is a foul, or restrictive contact is a foul. And we're going to talk about the difference between forceful and restrictive as it relates to DPI. Because DPI in our rule book currently is not an automatic first down. But that only applies to restrictive DPI, such as an arm grab. But if it was a play through the back, that's a contact foul. And all contact fouls do have first downs. So it's a combination foul. It's DPI and it's illegal contact. So that's how we're going to handle that. So this to me, great no call, good position by this official. I thought, and what I also love is holding the incomplete signal in a professional stance so that everybody can see it. To me, this was just a really well done play. This is another DPI and also contact. This was a no call, but it should have been called. Everybody got that? Ball's here, receivers here, defenders here. Cannot play through the back. And even if it's after the ball is no longer catchable, that is illegal contact. So if it's while the ball is catchable, it's illegal contact and pass interference. If it's while the ball is not catchable, it's just illegal contact. Either way, automatic first down.
Matt,
This is yes.
Matt, question. If the defender reaches over and touches the ball prior to, and then at the same time or right after there's a contact, how are we calling that one?
It's illegal contact. You can't play through the back.
Correct. I understand. So, but it's not because restrictions end on pass interference when the defender touches the ball. Correct?
That's true.
Yeah. So, but it is still illegal contact. That's what I was asking. So
I
to
think
get that
what
clear,
is true is if any player touches the ball.
right? Any player, correct.
Yeah, but illegal contact doesn't go away.
Correct. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
All right, play number 3. This is encroachment by team B. And there, I really like this play because there was some discussion on it. Okay, so this is encroachment on the defense, and this is a tough play, right? Because we're snapping here. The defense is a healthy yard away. Got no problem with the formation. We're going to have motion coming across the middle and a little bit of action by the quarterback, and these two jump. So whose fault is it? The offense or the defense? Pretty quick, right? Well, let me just slow it down.
Yeah, slow it down, please.
Even though we don't get to do this in the real game, right? The way I read this, I think they got it right on the field. I was in the booth and I thought, maybe not. But here's what I see. These two are moving before the quarterback ever does anything. You see the quarterback kind of reacting to that movement? I don't see anything on the center. I just
Yeah, I
see
got
them
encroachment
coming.
there. Yeah, I got encroachment there.
Yeah, I think it
Look
is
at
encroachment.
the defenders and look at the quarterback when the ball is and not
Yeah,
even
I think
snapped
the
yet.
quarterback reacted to the defenders coming. So what I love though is that these two officials came in and they said, "Hey, this was tight. Let's figure it out before we make a ruling." Now, if you see this, timers, just stop the clock. We know we're in a running clock, but if we're going to delay things for our dialogue, then just stop the clock. And then, once we figure out what we're doing and the referee, puts the ball down, then you can restart the clock again. This is an encroachment against the defense, and this is throw another acronym out at you. It's an INC. It's an incorrect no call. Because it should have been called. You can see that the ball is sitting squarely at the 50, which for us is the 40, but let's just call it the 50. And I want to watch this defender right here. That defender is closer than a yard. If the snap is imminent or the snap happens right instantaneously with that, just shut it down. That's a defensive foul for encroachment. And it doesn't matter that this defender backed out of the play. Doesn't matter. They are not allowed to be closer than 1 healthy yard at the time of the snap.
So
Yes,
even if Cecil, so even if B is not blitzing, if they're within that 1 yard, that's still going to be encroachment.
That's a foul. If you can't talk them back, it's a foul. It's a foul simultaneously with the snap, but we're going to shut it down.
Okay.
And we really need to watch this because there's some schools that take advantage of that. Yeah, when we gave up the 7-yard rush rule, we said a healthy 1 is a no gray area, 100% requirement. So we're gonna officiate it that way.
Hey Matt, I do have a question.
Yeah.
About that. So I had one of my games to where you talked about this in one of the earlier meetings of where the defense would purposely go offsides to get the offense within like the first down zone.
Yeah.
Like if they're 3 yards.
Well,
before.
it's not a zone at all. It's within shot of the line to gain. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if a team, in instance, tried to play it like this to where they had a defender, easily within the 1 yard area, then could the offense decline it?
Sure. Yeah, you can always decline distance.
Okay. All right. That was my only question.
Yeah, well, and that brings up a second category. If we're under 2 minutes and the defense, let's say during a running clock, does this purposely, and then you shut the clock down for the foul, because that's a potential clock advantage, and we only have 2 timeouts. Anytime we're in the 2-minute zone, just give the offense the opportunity to say we don't want the clock to run, or we do want the clock to run. Maybe the defense was trying to shut it down on purpose. So anytime we're under the 2 minutes in 2 or 4 and the defense fouls, then just give the offense the option. This encroachment B, this was called, gosh, at the snap, but I'm going to slow this one down too, because this has a couple of things. Speed 50. All right, so it must have been that this player lined up, because this official over here throws a flag and says, hey, shut it down. That is what you're supposed to do. Maybe a little bit more aggressively, but I want you to watch this offensive player also. My guess is she's lined up closer than a yard. It makes sense, right? Because as the field is marked 49, maybe she's hanging over. So at the snap, he's, oh, I got to shut this down. Fine. So we've got a 5-yarder against the defense. But if we have the offense creating contact in what would normally be an illegal screen / illegal contact, is that a foul that we can enforce? And the answer is we can enforce any illegal contact foul, which this player creates contact even though it's dead, because she moved laterally into a position that the defender was advancing in. Can we all agree, and I know we're not all going to say it, that if there was no dead ball foul, that this is illegal contact by the offense?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Okay. So because she came in a different angle, she was within 2 yards, she was moving, she created that contact. The defender could not have avoided that. I think that's pretty clear. So since that's the case, and contact fouls are considered safety fouls, I would say even if we have encroachment against the defense, we also have illegal contact against the offense, and they're both dead ball.
So even though that play was not supposed to happen, you still can put the penalty on the offense.
You can always enforce a major foul, even if play is disrupted, dead, inadvertent whistle, or ruled down. You can always enforce a major foul. And a major foul is an illegal contact foul. So if we did this, if we feel this is illegal contact by the offense, which she did create that by being there, then you can go 5 against the defense and then go 10 against the offense. Here's what's going to happen. Oh, I got a flag and a whistle. Guess what the referee's going to do? Gonna be looking right there.
Yeah, and this is Cecil again. Because those are dead ball infractions, they won't offset.
You can't offset dead ball fouls unless they're both majors.
Yeah. Okay.
If they're both majors, don't walk off anything. Just say the penalty's canceled.
Okay.
So, and here's a little tidbit. Here's a tackle tidbit that applies to flag as well. If you have 2 majors against the defense and 1 major against the offense, only equal numbers cancel. If there's 2 against the defense and 1 against the offense, you enforce 1 against the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. This was just a weird play. I just wanted to share it with you because it's interesting. But if this whistle blows and this referee looks there, it would take a very highly disciplined line judge to pick this up. I don't think we can pick this up. This to me is a play we can't pick up the second act because this is distracting everybody. Rightfully so. But if you get it, I would like to see them both. There's some plays in football we just can't get everything.
Matt, I got,
Yeah.
So you're going to enforce those in the order in which they occur. So
That's correct.
You're going to enforce it against the defense first. If that crosses the line to gain and then you bring them back, we're not going to give them the first down. Is that correct?
If it crosses the line to gain, they do get the first down.
Even if we're coming back then 10. If we're going forward 5 and back 10.
Dead is dead.
That is dead. Okay.
Yeah. So if the first dead gives them a first down, they get the first down. And then you come back, they don't get that line again. Let's just assume that they started here. And the first dead ball foul takes him to the line to gain here, and the second dead ball foul takes him to here. Now it's 1st and 30, not 1st and 20 or 1st and 10, because they've already used this line.
Gotcha.
You use it, you lose it, right? But on a live ball foul, that does not apply. I know, complicated. We're all going to learn this as we go along. But dead ball fouls are treated entirely differently. All right, this is a punt play. And after the punt, they call illegal contact against the return team after the ball has changed possession. And then they call illegal stripping against the kicking team, which is knocking the ball out of the player's hand. So we have a kick, a catch, legal to return. And then we have some moving screens out here. There's probably some contact. And then somebody punches the ball out. We got a flag there and a flag there. This is called a clean hands rule. I also refer to it as a double after, but it means that the team that has the ball and has fouled has the ball with clean hands. They didn't foul before they got the ball. Right? We're kicking, they're returning. Nobody has fouled yet. All this is now is a running play. Forget the fact that there was ever a kick. This is just a running play. So now we have a foul against the offense and a foul against the defense. Well, typically, if you have a foul against the offense and a foul against the defense, that's just a simple offset. You replay the down. So we could go back here where we initially kicked the ball and replay the down. That is part of fouls on both teams. But because there was a change of possession and the team in final possession had the ball with clean hands, meaning they hadn't fouled prior to obtaining possession, they now have an option. You can either go back and re-kick, or you can keep the ball and enforce your team's penalty. So if their team's penalty was here, it would be half the distance. They get the ball first and whatever from that spot. If inside this area, that's probably not advantageous. So they elected to re-kick. Perfectly fine. But we need to be aware of where we are. So let's say if our line to gain is this yard line, which is marked the 30, but it's really the 20. And that foul happens here. They very well may want to reverse back so that they have a 1st and 1 instead of re-kicking. So you have to know how to enforce these rules. If you have a change of possession and you have clean hands, you always have an option to keep the ball. That's the only reason I brought this play up. Anybody have any questions about this?
No, man. We had this game, Dennis, we had this situation, you remember, in IAEA. And the coach didn't understand what I was saying. He just chose to re-kick it.
Well, that was probably the smart decision here.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that, the best way to tell the coach. So let's say this is the goal line here, right? So let's say the foul by 8. This only applies to the receiving team's foul. Has nothing to do with the defensive team's foul. Let's say that the offensive team's foul is at the 10 and the run ended at the 12. So the enforcement's going to be from the 10. So what you do is you go to the coach of the receiving team and say, Coach, we have fouls against both teams during the return. You can either take the ball at your own 5-yard line, or we can replay 4th down. That's the easiest way to explain it. All right, so this is a illegal contact call against this runner. Well, let's call him a blocker right here. The reason I like this is because the blocker approaches the rusher. If the blocker's stationary or moving off of or rolling away from, I got no issues. But this blocker approaches the rusher, and you can see a disruption here. That's before the ball is thrown. that disruption is illegal contact because the blocker was moving at the rusher. I can't overemphasize this, but I'm going to show it again because I got two plays that I don't want called after this. See that little disruption right there? She searched out contact. That's a correct call. All right, one more time. Searching contact. She's going toward him, toward disruption. That I like as a foul. This next one, I'm not as fond of, and I'm going to explain why. This is on this receiver here. And you have to look at the relationship between this receiver and this rusher. And let's throw out the 7-yard rush rule. The 7-yard rush rule left clean lanes for the defenders to come through and you couldn't touch them. That is gone. All that's gone. Now what we have is a receiver who wants to get downfield and a rusher who has their choice as to where they rush from. And in this case, our receiver goes straight forward. The rusher comes at this angle. There's some contact, and this receiver rolls off of that contact. I'm going to play it in slow motion, but I just want us all to understand that contact does not create a foul. Intent creates the foul. There's no intent here. The rusher is probably a little at fault. The receiver's going straight out, and then there's just a quick roll-off. To me, that is nothing. And I know that in the 7-yard rule, that's a foul every day. But in the 1-yard rule, there's no intent there.
This is Dwayne.
Hey, Dwayne.
To call it a foul on this particular play, I guess you'd have to see it all the way. Because if you miss it,
Well, even if you see it all the way, I don't see it as a foul. And maybe that's something that we have to adjust ourselves to. Unless it's a clear attempt by the offense to block, stay away from the line of scrimmage stuff. You know, work back here. If you're a referee, work back here. Because theoretically, this official should be watching this receiver, and this receiver's not pressed. Nobody's pressed because we're all off a yard, right? So there's only one receiver potentially threatened. And if you see this act, that's just a roll-off. That's not an attempted block. And in fact, it's created by the defense because the defense cuts in and the receiver's moving forward. So I just want us to take a breath. I don't want contact to be automatic. I want everybody to say, what just happened? What impact? What's the intent? If all of those things are check yes, check yes, check yes, then throw your flag. But don't throw your flag on contact.
Okay.
Hey Matt, this is Kelvin. I got a question on that same play. So if that defender is making an A line towards the quarterback, and that receiver who's pushing out from the line of scrimmage, is that not like a blocker?
No.
So that's why I'm looking at it. I see they're really trying to go out for a route, but that defender is A-lining towards the quarterback. That's not a stutter step. That's not another jab step or B line. That's an A line towards the quarterback.
So let me just clarify something again. And I brought it up a little bit in the 7-yard thing. When we got rid of the 7-yard thing, the onus came off of the offense and moved to the defense. It used to be within that tackle box, if the defense was rushing, the offense couldn't touch him, get out of the way. With the 1-yard rush, any one of them can rush from any location and the offense has the right of way. The defense does not have the right of way.
This is Kelvin. It makes sense to a point. The point where it doesn't make sense to me is if a defenser is advancing towards the ball handler, the offensive player cannot impede that progress unless that was their initial route, correct?
Unless that was their initial route. I can buy that on intent, sure.
Okay.
And
So
and let's add to that. This occurs at the line of scrimmage. Blocking, for the most part, does not occur at the line of scrimmage.
understood on that point. Understood on that point. Because to me, if I were interpreting this play, this is not a running play. This is not a lineup for a running play. This is a lineup for a passing play. So that to me, that was no intent of the receiver coming out of the backfield to impede that defensive player. That's the way I would interpret that.
And I would like to get rid of the A line, because if the offense wants to go out in a straight line and the defense is not stationary within 2 yards, they can.
And Matt, that's what I was looking at here to help clarify, hopefully for him, is you can see that the defender is shading the outside shoulder of that receiver. So if that receiver is going straight up field and that defender's taking an angle toward the quarterback, because the quarterback's on the inside behind the center, then the offensive player has basically right of way. Is what I think.
I would agree with everything you said, but I don't even see this as a shade, because I don't think she has a piece of this receiver. I think she comes in and gets a piece unintentionally, and we covered that in a video previous about if two people are going the same direction at the same time at the line of scrimmage and they hit, don't put it on anybody. But I don't even see a shade here, because this person is out here and this person is here. So since this person went in, this person decided to go forward, and this person spun off, let it go. There's nothing that anybody is intending to do there that's illegal. There's a little bit of contact, and it's not forceful, so let it go. This one's going to get us a little bit too. This one, I don't like as illegal contact, and this is a little bit of twitchy feet. It's on this player here, I believe. This rusher's coming in. This rusher comes in and cuts toward that player, and there's a little bit of contact, and this player kind of veers off, and this player rolls off of this player. So watch this. I don't like it for illegal contact. If you tell me you do, just tell me why. I'll slow it down again. Anybody want to argue that for illegal contact?
It looks like the player's trying to get away from. It doesn't look like they're
Which
stationary.
player, offense or defense?
It looks like A is trying to get away from B. It doesn't look like A is trying to actually set a screen. It looks like they're almost like a slip screen.
Yeah. So A, even though A is moving her feet, she hasn't moved her position. So she can hold that position if she wants to. Now let's just take a little further. Now there's a little step forward, but let's see how the defense got there. Defense came off of this person, and then you see that plant right? That plant right pushes her this way. And then it's just a spin off. All that is hand contact. So what I want us to do is get away from that 7-yard mentality of any contact by the offense is a foul to now the onus is on the defense. And this is just another example of that. As opposed to the one that I liked earlier, where the rusher went to the, where the blocker went to the rusher. In this case, the blocker doesn't go to the rusher, hold, move away. So this is the one we don't want. Even if there's a little contact, if there's a roll off and there's a held position and she's not going for the rusher, let's just interpret that. Let's just put that through our filter and say, you know, is the onus on the defense or the offense there? And then we don't need to call that. And I'll put this video back up for you guys and gals to see later, but that says a lot. This is illegal contact on B. I just want to talk about enforcement. Oh, let me get this back to speed. All right, so we got a run and a cut and basically a little bit of a tackle. And I don't really want to say a little bit of a tackle because the defense is going this way. The runner cuts back. When the runner cuts back, the runner's entitled to this line. And then the defense blocks that line. That is an absolute correct call for illegal contact. And the spot is here. The flag is also being pulled here. So they happen at the same place. Doesn't matter. Foul against the defense. So what these guys do is they come up here. Correct call. Illegal contact by the referee there. If we have a back judge, we'd like to see that from the back judge too. And here's where we are. And this is a 3-person mechanic, but we're going to go to a 4-person mechanic in the playoffs. And we want our back judge to come in here too. So he said, and the referee should just immediately say, illegal contact on the defense. Here's our spot, 10 yards. We're going to tack it on. All that's actually correct. So we get our back judge. In this case, one of the wing officials picks up the ball. Here's what I don't want. I don't want the military step off. You can see that we're at the field mark 34, and we're going to the field mark 44. I don't want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, reach 10. I don't want that. That looks like a military parade. If you're at the 34 and you're going to go 10, just run to the 44 and put the ball down. Excellent call, excellent spot, excellent enforcement, but let's just get away from that military parade enforcement. Everybody should know we're going from 34 to 44. Run up, put the ball down. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with the military, man? Hold on now.
I love it. I was in the military, man. You know that. All right, where am I at? Play 11? All right, play number 11. This is a correct no call for a ball strip. And the reason is because it happens pretty much simultaneously with the receiver getting the hands on it. See that ball come out there right on the touch turn? So I'm going to take it down to half speed, and you can just see how quickly this happens. Hands on, ball out. If it happens that fast, it's not a strip. The strip is intended for someone who has completed the process of a catch, not someone in the process of a catch. Everybody understand the difference there?
Yep. Has full control of the ball or not.
Possession versus control. That's a different thing. Possession is establishing possession. So if this person has a shot at the ball before possession is established, then it's not stripping. That's not stripping. No possession yet. So I love this as a no call. All right, number 12. This is just a what if. I don't know what happened on this play. But if the defender's leg got tangled with the quarterback, it's a foul. If the quarterback just stumbled and fell back, it's not a foul. But if there's contact, because the quarterback is in a passing posture, in the pocket, and mostly stationary, if there's leg contact, it's a foul. Just saying that. Don't let that go if that is in fact what occurred. Stationary, passing posture. So if there's any leg contact, that's a foul. Now this is a legal screen. I just want to throw this in there because we're going to re-emphasize this periodically. Anybody have a problem with that? Legal screen because of why?
She's already in motion.
Space. It's space. If this person were here, not a legal screen, because then she becomes a blocker and she's not stationary within 2 yards or moving the same direction. It's the space that makes this legal. Slow it down. Let me just slow it down. I know we don't get to slow it down on the field, but we can slow it down here. You can see that she's already separated, pulled away, and we have 2 full yards. When it started, it was 4. When it finished, it was 2. That's what makes it legal. This is a legal screen. Let me try to figure out who this is. Left tackle. So our quarterback's here. It's this left tackle here. Goes back, turns sideways, lets her have the corner. Just because she turned sideways doesn't make it illegal. Just because this player turned sideways doesn't make it illegal. They're both going the same direction, but when the defender got the corner, she gave up the corner. Legal. What makes this legal is they're both moving the same direction. So there's no requirement that you be moving backwards. The only requirement is that you be moving the same direction. But once that defender gets the corner on you, then you got to give up the corner, which she did right there. All right, so here's our goal line mechanic. The 10 is our goal line. Sean's going to jump in right away and say, hey, what's happening? Sean, what should we do here?
You got to get that G out of there. Number 1.
You got to get this. You got to get this pylon back here. Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. And then when you start that play, if you're in goal line mechanic, just take that angle out. If they're coming this way, then he takes the angle out. If they're coming this way like they did, he takes the angle out. This side, because they came here, doesn't need to angle out.
He can stay flat.
But this side, because they came here, needs to position here with the goal line pylon here. Okay, I just want to bring up field markings. This is the end line, and inbounds pylons on the end line belong off of the end line. Just bringing that up on it. So just when you guys go out there, and I think Dennis brought it up, are we going to have the right yard line markers out there? You know, just make sure you got the right yard line markers and you got the end line markers in the right spot. And your pylons are all in the right spot. And, you know, just part of your pregame. That's why we show up early and go out there and look at the field.
My bad. You said there'd be any other problems. I just have a question about the coach's box. Because I had a little trouble on the sideline at one of my games. I was wondering about the coach's box because on the field, you know, it's marked to the 25, but I was at Campbell's Field and they marked it off at the 30, which is right there. But on the actual field box is the 25 for, you know, full size field. Which one are we going by? Are we going by with the field on the 25, or are we going to enforce the 30 being the coach's box?
If they're at the line to gain marker, which is right here, that's the end of it. Right here. So if you have an opportunity on some of these schools, you see this little cone right here? If you get some of those cones, you know, just line this line with them. You
Okay.
get extra cones.
That's all my question was we using the coach's box on the field, or are we going to actually put it to the 20? So
Well, well, first off, it's not the coach's box, it's the restricted area. But and I'm pretty particular about that, but this is not even our field. This is way back, right? This is our field.
Yeah.
The restricted area ends here and the team box ends here.
Okay. All right. Yep. That's all I need to know.
I want to congratulate the Big Island because they had the first televised flag game in the history of the state. And that was last night at 4 o'clock on K5. And I had the pleasure of watching the game in its entirety. And they did a great job. They're running a slightly different mechanic in that they're running a hybrid umpire. We're not going to do that in the States. We're going to run a true back judge. But if you guys get a chance to rewatch this game, they ran a hybrid umpire just a little deeper than a normal umpire. And I don't have much to pull out of this game, which is a real credit to those officials that worked it. And the teams that played in it, because there wasn't a lot of hanky-panky going on. Or, as my crew likes to say, look out for shenanigans. But what I do want to bring up is something relative to timing. And this is the fourth quarter, and you can see we're still in a competitive game. The team behind is the team with the white jerseys. So I'm just going to play it, and you guys can watch it, go through, and tell me Tell me what we're doing. Yeah, the clock's supposed to run. We're outside of 2.
It's fine.
I should have stopped the clock there.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Should have stopped the clock there. Okay, so 1:56, we go, 2-minute warning. So the mechanic is everybody on the crew. If you're approaching 2 minutes in a tight game, well, any game, really, somebody should say, hey, who's responsible for looking at the clock? Where's the clock in relation to where our officials are? Timers. When you get to a situation where you think they're not going to get the snap off or it's close, just let the crew know. Say, hey, we're approaching the 2-minute warning. I'll give you a countdown at 5. And then timers at 2:05, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let the referees on the field determine whether they got that snap off or not. That's up to them. But you give the countdown because they're not supposed to be watching the clock. They're supposed to be watching the field. So timers, audible countdown, heading into 2 minutes of 2 or 4. If it's going to be tight. If it's not, it's real simple. Just say, hey, they're not going to make it. 2 minutes coming up, and then stop it at 2 minutes. If you happen to make a mistake and go beyond 2, reset it. This is just a 2-score game, and the team behind has the ball. So just reset it to 2 minutes, and then continue on. So that's a 2-minute warning. This is not a team timeout, and they did this excellent. They kept everybody on the field. Coach, this is not a team timeout. It's a 2-minute warning. We're going to come back. Here's the next problem. We do not wind. The only time we wind out of a 2-minute warning is if we have greater than a 21-point advantage. We'll stop it for the 2 minutes, and then we'll wind it because we're then in the point differential rule. It's a hard stop unless we're in the point advantage rule.
Correct.
And that's the same thing for quarters. If you change quarters, you do not wind. To start the half, you do not wind. Everything snap, snap, snap.
Should we chop? Do we chop it or
Yeah, you can chop. It's a 25-second play clock.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can definitely chop it.
And another thing is, because we're on a 40, we don't need whistles to ready. We're on a 40. If play clock's running, just put the ball down. If we're on a 25, that's when you chop. 40-second, never chop. We're just running. We're just going. So that's it. That's all I got for film today. I know that's more than I expected. I didn't expect to go hour and a half today, but I did. So there you go. Please show up on time, when you can, and let me know. You guys got any questions or thoughts?